Good afternoon. This is Jeff Dawson. It's June 29th, 2020, and I want to talk about the COVID-19 spread and the panic that's ensuing. If you watch the news this weekend, you're convinced that it is exploding like Vesuvius or Mount St. Helens across the United States. The southeast, south, and southwest and west are getting hammered. Georgia, Florida, Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California, Oregon, and Washington. No one is denying that the cases are going up. Why they are going up is the question, and I don't care which news agency you listen to, even if you listen to the White House, someone isn't giving us the straight scoop. That's what it's coming down to. Let's run through some numbers. And I've been tracking this since April 19th. And here's what we've got. New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, California, and Washington. Those 6 states have 968,000 cases, 65,070 deaths. That's at a population of 85 million. Those states account for 37.84% of the cases and 51% of the deaths. New York alone accounts for 15% of the cases and 24% of the deaths. Now, nationwide, the percentage of reported cases is 0.29935% at 330 million. The death rate is 0.0386%, the country as a whole. Now think about those numbers and let that sink in while we go over the leading causes of death in the United States. Abortion, 694,000. Heart disease, 647,000. Cancer, 599. Medical malpractice, 252. Again, these are all in thousands. Injuries, 169. Respiratory, 160. Stroke, 146. Alzheimer's, 121. So as of right now, COVID is ahead of Alzheimer's by 6,000 deaths. Now, the one thing when I've been going through these numbers and listening to the news, and no one has answered this question. Not the press, not the governors, not the White House. Now, everyone has been pointing fingers like crazy. It's like a bunch of kids in the sandbox that can't figure out what the hell is going on. I have yet to hear why New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut were hit so hard. I don't have the answer, and no one is asking that question. Wouldn't it be pertinent and helpful to understand why it hit them so hard? Is it because they have such a dense population? Possibly. I'm not buying the argument that it's because they have a higher percentage of brown and black-skinned people there. I'm just not buying that. I mean, that to me is politicizing a virus that doesn't need to be politicized, since all the newscasters, whichever station you listen to, say it shouldn't be, but in all their infinite wisdom have managed to just gum up the works and politicize it. Whether you're on the right, left, or the middle, it really doesn't make a damn. But they just can't report on the virus and move forward. They had to throw a political twist into it. Now, I've also been watching each week the death rates. And for most of the states, it's been somewhat consistent. I hate to say that, but we are looking at statistics. New York from June 14th to June 3rd had reported 6,767 deaths. The week before that was 741. From June 28th to June 20th, they had 289. From June 20th to June 14th, they had 26. Tell me how those numbers match up. And then this week, as of right now, and I'll go into this spreadsheet a little deeper, the amount of death, the percentage of deaths in relationship to the cases is 5%. Now, you've heard that stat from everyone. It actually comes out to about 4.98. But you've heard the stat. Well, New Jersey, from 620 to 628, reported 2,113 deaths. Yet in the prior weeks, it was 346, 719, 689. And all of a sudden we have this explosion. Something doesn't add up there. And then in the broader scheme, if you take that out, of the 5,983 cases of death, that the increase in death from the week before puts it at 5%, you take New Jersey out, and now it's down to 3%. And like I said, I'm not trying to be cold. I'm just looking at the stats as they come across. How did they have 2,100 reported deaths? Now, on my master spreadsheet, this was kind of interesting to follow. And I'll start with week ending 4/26 to 4/29 and the percentage in cases of escalation. 32%, 31%, 10%, 7%, 9, 5, 9, 7, 9, 8, 11. Yes, and the 11 is for 11% increase from the prior week is 628, 621. We were told that we would see a massive, not a mild, a massive spike after Memorial Day weekend. Remember that? And we wouldn't know it for 2 weeks. So let's see. If we look at week ending 5/25 and the cases reported after that, it was 152,000 on 6/1. It was 124,000 on 6/7. 173 on 6/14. 167, 6/21. Now 6/28, there is a increase of 259, 540,000 cases. Yet percentage-wise, from 6/28 to 6/21, it's 3% increase, which puts that 11%. Nothing near the 32 and 31% that we saw from 4/19 to 5/7. And I only bring this up because percentage-wise, more cases are being identified. We've heard the story that we have immigrants down in Mexico at the border, that they've gotten sick and there's no medical facilities down there, and they've been taken to 2 different hospitals in California, and they apparently are being reported twice. I can't verify that. And once again, I'm not believing anything the press says. They're extremely untrustworthy, and I don't give a damn which channel it is. And that's why I do my own stats and make my own deductions. But we are still of a country of 330 million people 2,559,254 cases. Now, as I've said in other videos, what COVID does have that everyone knows and everyone can agree on is if you get this and you have a compromised immune system, it's deadly. It's sitting at 4.98% deaths versus reported cases. Is that information enough to warrant shutting down a country and an economy? I think not. I've heard the arguments, and obviously we're in the big mask argument right now, to wear, to not wear. One side says we have all the scientific proof. The other side says they have the scientific proof. You see this meme with a petri dish that says this is what one of the dishes is clear, one of them is all gummed up because this is what happens when you sneeze. This is why you need to wear a mask so you're not spreading it. Then the counter meme is, yeah, and this is what you're breathing in all day. So if you're not wearing the mask, you're breathing clean air. If you're wearing the mask, then you're contaminating your immune system. Who's right and who's wrong? Well, it's just like politics right now. Who do you want to believe? Do you want to believe the side that supports your conclusions and claim, I'm going with science. I'm going with science. Well, hell, the other side is going with science.